Every year on Valentine's Day, same-sex marriage equality activists make the annual trip to their local county clerk's offices all over the country to not only draw attention to their inability to get married, but to raise awareness about the harms and the impact that lack of marriage equality brings to gay families.
A few of us are going to be sitting in. We're going to take a stand for marriage equality by sitting in at the license. So we're asking that just the people who have already intended to do that, we do that today, because we want to make sure that we aren't blocking the marriage license counters, so that people who have their wedding license appointments today, we just simply celebrate them today, and we simply wish to register our dissent at the unjust law that denies other couples who would also like to join them today in their wedded bliss, and yet cannot because of Proposition 8.
Dr. Davina Katulski, author of Why You Should Give a Damn About Gay Marriage, and spouse of Molly McKay, has written a follow-up book, Love Warriors, The Rise of the Marriage Equality Movement and Why It Will Prevail. The book informs the reader point by point on her arguments about why same-sex couples should have the right to marry.
Then I wrote Love Warriors, The Rise of the Marriage Equality Movement and Why It Will Prevail after Proposition 8 passed, because I felt like it was time to let people know what had transpired since 2004, and to really take a critical look at how we were approaching the issue of marriage equality and address those arguments that we kept not being able to address during the campaign mode. So the question of, is this a civil rights issue? You know, so many people try to say, well, this marriage equality is not a civil rights issue. BS. You know, again, we've got Dolores Huerta, we've got Congressman John Lewis, we've got major civil rights leaders from other civil rights movements at the forefront of the marriage equality rights issue, and they are straight allies. Why? Because it's a civil rights issue. And then also a critique of the Proposition 8 campaign. I think that we should not have lost Proposition 8. I don't think it should have passed, and I think that there were strategies that were used by what we call Gay Inc. that were very self-defeating, and that we need to not continue to replicate those mistakes. We've made those mistakes 35 different times in our country with all the constitutional amendment campaigns that have been passed, and we've just got to, we can't do it the old way anymore.
As they are turned away from the marriage counter, the denial gives same-sex couples the opportunity to tell their stories and show that gay families live in every community and want to honor and protect their families like everyone else.
Well, so yesterday was Valentine's Day, and it happened to be the 10th year that Molly and I were going down to ask for a marriage license, and many other couples were going down to ask for a marriage license to render visible their love and commitment to one another, and the discrimination that goes on at the marriage license counter 365 days of the year throughout the country. We went down there, the Gay Men's Choir sang some beautiful songs. Phil Ting talked about how he wished that he could give us marriage licenses. He's the San Francisco city assessor and recorder of marriage licenses.
This is more than just about two individuals who love each other. It's really about all of our families. Because marriage is more than just uniting two people, right? It's really about uniting families. It's about uniting communities. So when we keep people apart, we're keeping their families apart. And I think for those of us, especially in the Asian American community, that is one of the most central tenets that we try to communicate. This is really not just about two loving couples, but really about two loving families.
This movement is about love and commitment. And today we are standing tall as loving, committed couples who simply ask and simply request a marriage license to signify that our loving relationships are as worthy as any other relationship in this country.
Then we went to the marriage license counter and asked for marriage licenses.
What the world needs now is love, sweet love.
marriage licenses and told that if the law changed, they would be happy to give us those licenses. But since California Family Code only issues marriage licenses to one man and one woman because of Proposition 8, that we could not have a marriage license. So 18 of us sat down on the floor and we engaged in a sit-in. The police asked us to leave. We continued to sing. The police asked us to leave a second time. We continued to sing. They came over. They arrested us with plastic handcuffs, those kinds that they use for sort of riot control. And they escorted us downstairs where they detained us and issued us a citation, released us, and told us not to come back to San Francisco City Hall that day. You know, I just want to invite everybody to become a love warrior, which means to, speak from your heart, stand up for equality for all people, get engaged in this movement. Don't settle for civil unions or reciprocal beneficiaries or domestic partnerships. They're the cubic zirconian. They're not diamonds, and we just have to have one solid standard where we treat everyone equally under the law. That's what our Constitution is all about. That's what we pledge when we pledge allegiance to our flag, and that's really what equality is about. It's about equality for everyone.
In San Francisco, this is Raymond Donald Hong for Outlook Video.